All right, everybody, welcome to the stream. I'll just quickly share this in the room so everyone gets it. If they're around, members. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. This should be an interesting week. Obviously, a lot at stake here this week. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some of these markets. We'll start off here with the US 500. I hope it's going to be an okay week, actually, from trade perspective. So, look, it looks to be that this thing's actually breaking out to the long side. All right. I think that's the reality that we faced last week. We saw that little miniature double bottom. If you're watching the bonds, which I would always suggest, I mean, obviously, if you've done the mentoring, one of the things we've added in is been one of the bond indicators recently. LGD is a good bond indicator. There are better, but LGD is, or LQD, sorry, is a very, very good one for you to have on the charts. So if bonds are coming with the market, just remember private community, that is a good sign. Okay. That's a little bit of a tick of approval. You get a tick of approval from the smart bond traders. And that is something that we do want to be looking at here. So LQD, if it's coming with us, remember corp bonds, very important. It's corporate, not government bonds. Corporate bonds are effectively the companies. Yeah. Who's going to know the company better? Just think about this logically. Are bond traders going to know the company better, or stock traders that are sitting there on stock tweets and Reddit going, FOMO, 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 let's get in, boys and girls, we're going long. And so the bond traders really show you the health of the market overall. So it does look to be a bit of a long week. Now, if it pulls back, which is our suspicion or our hope in some ways, that it pulls back here a little bit, then there could be a market where it turns around a little, comes down to maybe like a 4,400, and that could be met by buyer demand. The worst case scenario this week, probably like a 4,300. It seems unlikely that it will go lower. Obviously, things can happen, but it does seem unlikely from a technical perspective. You've got strong buying that would occur here, and you've got strong buying that would occur here. It's broken through the downtrend from that perspective. Now, where do we have profits for this week? Well, one of the big profit levels, if it can be reached, is going to be somewhere around this 4,600 zone. So, of course, the 4,600 zone, strong resistance, probably going to become strong resistance once more. So, certainly another thing that's going on in this market at this stage. Now, if we're thinking about which way it goes today, let's break it down here from a 1 hour perspective and talk about some of the key levels that we're seeing on the futures so far. So we've had a key level around 44.40, and we've obviously got our peak that was formed on the Friday session. So if we kind of go like this, then breach through, next logical step, probably sitting around 4,400, somewhere around this zone here. So I think that's probably one of the things a few people will be doing, using the futures market and saying, okay, we breached through the low. That's going to be pretty strong. If you're worried about it going along, and then it's really go through the previous highs over here and then rally through that point and then probably pull back and then rally again. I think that's probably the solid trade here. And I'm not sure if I'd be trading the S&P 500 for this position. I think we do have a little bit of difficulty trading the US 500. Maybe the better is maybe US 100 instead. So here's the futures. You'll notice a bit of a rally here coming into the open. Don't look too much at the news. I don't think that's going to help us that much. This is going to be a tough Monday. I would suspect it's going short, but again, that's a guess. Overall, I think we've got to be bullish. There's not much choice there. Let's see what everyone's saying. Anybody got any opinions here? Let's see what people are coming in with. If there are stocks you want us to analyze, we can do that during the session as well. So we'll do that during today. So coming into this market, we've got some strength here. If we go to the futures, this isn't the largest companies. So I'll just quickly select the largest companies, go to 20 billion plus. Pre-market so far. Let's have a look. Pre-market we have. Okay, so some interesting stuff here. Look at this. So one of the stocks that did very well on Friday was Shopify, down 9.36%. Obviously, Boeing, there's a crash supposedly off China somewhere, I believe. Then we've got Baidu, Block, some of the ones that did very well last week. In the positive side of the market, pre-market here, we've got kind of a little bit of a different thing. We've got Tesla, 916, pretty strong. Obviously, 945 being the resistance for Tesla this week. But I could see this market turning down. I just think it makes sense. You've had 4 days of fairly strong buying. Some people would say very, very strong buying. The good tell is probably sometimes the community. So let's see what the community thinks. What do you guys think? Long or short today? Let me know. Long or short today? Let me know in the chat. Maybe we should do a poll on Twitter while we're live streaming. That will probably tell us. If everyone comes in bearish, it's probably going to go bull, yeah. Unfortunately, often true. So US 100, I could still see it going towards the negative side. You're at a bit of a tough point from the trade perspective in the futures. NDX, this is what it looks like. I mean, it's very extended. When you think about rallies, even when you're thinking about these bigger rallies, how much is this as a percentage? This is now extended 10.92% to the bull side with only a small pullback. Very aggressive. Hard to take without seeing a bit of a pull. If you are going long and you have to be in, you're not in, probably a scaling thing. So probably a scaling percentage here where you've got to say, okay, well, maybe I'll take a third off on this area here to the long side. And if it pulls back, I'll grab my 2/3 position. Some good levels, though, for both the NASDAQ and the S&P. The NASDAQ obviously has here this 200, 1 hour, and a 20. If you go to the daily, you're looking really just at that previous support. That 14,000, I think, is going to be a pretty strong level. So if we do get pullback coming off the 50 daily, it makes most sense to pull back to this zone. Put a fib on the whole thing. It will also make sense. Fib the whole thing back up. You're going to go into that 23.6, 38.2 zone. Somewhere in here, you're looking for that bottoming effect. Worst case, again, 50 would probably be where you see further bull pressure. If you're thinking of selling the rips, here's the problem. Here's the issue with selling the rips. The bond market is still, it's this stage still going up. The corp bonds are agreeing with the market. This is the second time it's happened. Obviously, we've got a little rally off here in the first couple of days, hit the 20, which is why we're thinking about that potential short. But yeah, you can see the other false rallies, the bond market said, no, they were no good. Okay, bonds were smarter than the stock traders they usually are. Here, they're with them. So it's going to be hard to sell rip rallies, and I would not be doing that personally. Kim says long specific stocks / sectors and short overall market today. There we go. So a bit of a long short kind of option here. Michael H says everyone expecting a pullback so long. So when you say everyone expects a pullback, Michael, do you mean everyone expected a pullback last week for every day, or do you mean everyone expects the pullback today? Because it's a big importance. If everyone expects it just to pull back after one day, well, that's not going to necessarily happen. We'll have a look at some of the sectors in a moment. So let's look at some of the sectors that are looking quite good. XLY, consumer discretionary, very strong position this is at the moment. You can see that incredible bullishness that happened on Wednesday. It was a bit of a shame I wasn't actually around, and we had the conference and I couldn't run the lives because this was actually a pretty phenomenal double bottom here, breach out. Certainly looking stronger, very good. Any pullback you would think would be met by buyer demand on a sector like this. Consumer discretionary looking quite good. And XLK also looking relatively strong from a recovery standpoint. Yeah. Some of the stocks, I put it actually in the weekend video that I'm looking at. One of them is Google. Why? Because Google is pretty decent. It's got some decent volume that came through it. We've got a strong base off here. And if you look at Google in comparison to some other stocks, so let's put Google versus AAPL, for example. Google has underperformed Apple recently. Apple's obviously been very, very strong, but Google's underperformed Apple. If we think about Google versus Facebook recently, so let's have a look at it versus Meta. Obviously, a strong outperformance followed by underperformance in the last couple of days of trade. So Google's behind a lot of these. Look at Google versus Amazon. So Google versus Amazon, another one, underperformance recently. Now, what does Google have on it? It has a very strong earnings. It's actually, compared to Amazon, ratioed pretty well. And it is in a stock split coming up. So I still think that this presents a pretty good opportunity this week from a stock perspective. Roger Vivas says text keeps going up. Yeah, I mean, it does keep going up, but again, we need to put it in perspective. How far down is it? A lot. Is it going up? Yes. Are some of the stocks running huge? Absolutely, but they dropped a lot as well. So if you're thinking, oh, well, which one could I get into? I mean, I think Google presents an interesting technical analysis level here. Square, obviously, only down 1.34 today. Really, it's just where it was after the earnings result. Not that much more. So I think you've got to put things in perspective. The problem with traders is and investors is you often look at the price where it was. And you don't think about where it's been and how it's sitting. And really, is this still cheap compared to where it was at the start of the year? The answer is, I guess, yes, it is. If it comes back down to maybe a range zone, so let's say you're looking at it from a perspective of a rectangle like in here, and you get a pullback, which could happen, would this be a pretty good zone for it? I think it would be fair. I mean, you've basically got kind of like a Wyckoff down here now. You've got that Max Payne trade that occurred. The earnings obviously came through. You don't have earnings for a long period, which is good when you're trading. Got a little double bottom, and it looks like all of these other stocks. Now, you know I'm not the biggest fan of the Jack Dorsey or the Square block, whatever you want to call it nowadays. But you got to get away from saying, okay, well, you know, it's up 70% off the base. It is up 70% off the base, but it's still down huge over periods of time. And if you always think about it that way, then you'll often never be able to pull the trigger. So even in this range here, there could still be a good trade from Square, especially if it pulls back into this range. Do I want to buy it here? Probably not. But if it pulls back, hey, we could consider it. Google, I think it's certainly worth considering. What else have we got here? Let's scroll through. I mean, there's plenty of stocks still in range-bound areas. There's obviously Net over here, still very range-bound. You'll notice that it hasn't broken through the 121. Probably won't do that today. So, you know, still another one. There's plenty of stuff here. Some that may have gotten away from you. Nvidia at a resistance. Again, why do we think the market could pull back today? A lot of it's got to do with this would make sense for people to take profit at from a technical level. Now, you notice it's coming in hot, but it still makes sense for a little bit of a pullback to occur here. If you grab it in this zone, would you be happy? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Would I be prepared? Yeah, I'd set alerts for the 245 level. Would I do that? Absolutely. It has to. This looks like it's risk on, and it happened very quickly. This market's incredibly aggressive towards picking these positions. Look at SPLK. Looks like it's been up a lot in the last couple of days. It certainly has. But it's still sitting in the range. It's up 17%. But it's still sitting in this massive basing range looking towards the breach out. And you look at the weekly and you say, okay, well, did it give me enough last time? Is there enough volume there? Those kind of things. Sasha M says, looking at SE, I'll be happy for a short pullback to take it long. So SE, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if you need a pullback for a stock like this. I mean, it's so beaten down. I mean, obviously you want to get the best price, but this particular stock, The biggest problem with SE is probably more that it hasn't quite gotten through some of these zones yet. So you've seen a little double bottom. It kind of gapped up. It doesn't look as good on the charts, is how I would say. I don't like this as much. Has the base came off? Yeah, I mean, it's come off 45%. You think, oh, I could have made 45% there. Yeah, but again, you've got to remember how many 45% rallies have we seen on this stock? There's 40%. Another huge, huge gain. And still, it's below what price it was in January. It's below what price it was on 24th of Feb. So you're still getting a pretty good price, and you're just going to have to, this is where you practice scaling if you want to be in the position. You take a small position, you let it play out the way it is. If you miss the position, if you missed the longs last week and you think, damn, I missed it, it was too fast, you might say, I want to target this area. But what you might have to do is trigger a portion to make yourself feel better. Because if it starts rallying up here, imagine how sad you'll be if it gets back to 174 because the rest of the market's going rally. And I think this comes into our expectations here for the next couple of months. I put in the video that things change pretty quickly, unfortunately, here. So we've got March, April. It's that it turns out it's probably that sell the rumor, buy the fact. We're currently seeing this chance of possibly a very good April, historically pretty good time to be in the market in the US, the second best month of the year to be in the market, sometimes the best. So if we get that rally, is that in line with everything we've discussed since February this year or January this year? It is actually, because everything we've discussed this year has led to these March, April rallies. And if you actually consolidate, and I didn't get this for you guys today, but if you put up 2008 NASDAQ, so this is NAS, 2008 and 2022, NASDAQ, did you know that during the first 3 months, both of them declined? They actually bounced at the exact same periods, and so far they're mirroring each other, which is really crazy. So far they're mirroring each other. And then, we could potentially see that kind of fall off at the middle of the year. And I'm still expecting this rally is going to be relatively short-lived. It might be a few months. I think we need to remember this is a trader's year. This is not necessarily, oh, yes, this rally is glorious and everything's going to all-time highs and all those types of things. It may go to all-time highs, but that doesn't mean that it's healthy. Watch the bonds as much as possible. Watch some of the key kind of lead indicators in the markets. Price action as well. All right, so we've got some questions about ARK. So ARK showed the first good sign that's had in a long time. It actually closed above the daily 20, which was one of the signals that I was looking for. It's closed above our log downtrend as well. So even if we get this as a log, it should be below. There we go. Yeah. So it's closed above that. It's shown a lot of pickup, and you've got to forget this is like a capitulation. So basically this is the low point. You're never going to get that as a trader. And if you do, that means you buy the dip generally, and you're going to get punished a lot for buying the dip all the way along. All right. Unless you have a way of figuring out that's capitulation, it's very, very tough to grab these kind of positions. Not highly statistical generally. But right now, it's certainly looking a lot better. Breaching through. Again, if you want pullbacks, you're looking at something around this area here. So you're looking around that 61, 62 zone. And then you're looking for it to long through. So yeah, ARK certainly looking better here. Weekly, quite strong. And that just shows, again, hyper stocks are back on a little bit for now. Nick Schmidt says Google has no supply chain issues. Yep. Kim says XLV. Healthcare. Very strong at the moment. Great period of time to own them. Something I crapped on a lot about in 2021. I bought bio and I bought healthcare, remember? This was a very good period for them. So yeah, you've got the lightning bolt coming through for the sector. You've got the sector breakout occurring. It's not too crazy in terms of that. You could definitely go and pick some healthcare stocks and grab those. And remember, biotech is still hated. So if you're actually looking at biotech right now, again, another very strong market suddenly recovering here quite a lot. Pulling back through. When I say it's very strong, it's breached one of the downtrends, breached the 20 moving average. Obviously, we need it to go through 96. That's going to be a problem for it. But there's plenty of opportunity here. It's up 5.7 from that point. From the base, we're looking at around 14.16. Considering how much that's dropped off, it's not up that much. And it is a sector that will do okay in risk on. It's a risk on sector. What's my view on gold? Nick, by the way, we did XBI. XLRE, I'll just quickly load it up. That's the real estate funds. Yeah. Look, technically it's okay. If you can find good reasons that you want to be in it at this point in time, sure. But yeah, I'm not sure whether I like it that much. Get rid of this VWAP. Just testing something before, it's annoying. So yeah, XLRE, certainly good. Not too bad, but I probably prefer some of the others. Ray says, what's my view on GDX? So my view on GDX or gold in general has been that it has hit the levels that we wanted to. So it's hit that 40. It was over from that perspective. That's what we wanted. Gold is going to sit there and do its little gold thing for a while. I will bring in some metals in a minute. Gold has bounced, which has been good. It's bounced off this level down here, which is where the kind of moving average wick is. So you can see that wick has come off almost to 50. But I'm not convinced by gold. If you're looking at gold this week, really all you're doing is you're saying, okay, I don't really like it necessarily around this price. I didn't mind the trade here that went long. I would probably be looking more at maybe a breach through here, scale a portion, and then through 1950. I'm not a huge fan of the gold trade at the moment. I think it's confused by what it wants to do. If we go into stagflation, gold's going to be really great. But I feel like the move for gold has kind of happened to a degree. It obviously crashed straight off that. And for me, like the better trade is probably something like a palladium right now again. Palladium's back on. Why? Because palladium absolutely got crunched. Like, I mean, got crunched. Look at this. It's been crunched a few times, this stock, or this particular metal. Got crunched 33% down. Technically, this whole Russian thing's not over yet with the Ukraine. Hopefully it will be, and hopefully they'll come to some kind of ceasefire. We'll see. But look at this price action. Daily. Rejection wick, long leg doji, decision made. Rejection, we're through in this middle area. Let's go look at the 2 hour. Little double bottom, holding up better than gold, this one, okay? This is obviously versus the US, but it's holding up better. There's our base. If we rally through 2620, next stop you'd think is around 2900. So I still think there could be a good trade in the palladiums. Peter Golick says, thoughts on biotech IBB? Same as XBI, man. They look okay. And they're actually behind the others, so could be a good one to look at. Michael H says, what about XLF with interest rates going up? So a lot of that's already priced into the market. I think the problem with XLF is that XLF is going to do well theoretically in an interest rate environment, but on the same side, we've got lots of sick economy. And who takes the brunt of the sick economy? Generally the financials. I'm not that bullish on financials, even from a technical side. If we go to the daily, it seems logical, but then you would think, well, if interest rates are going up, how's the risk on trade coming back? How are we suddenly buying all these hyper stocks? Isn't that they're over? Well, they oversold. The market's interested in technology at the moment. That's what they're in. They're not in this at the moment. They bought it, sure, but it's not. It's just coming with the broader market. I don't think the returns here are as stellar. Even the market itself, 4.142. Will energy resume the bull move to new highs? Don't think so. So energy will come up. My thoughts are fib retracement somewhere around this area. It's going to stop. That's my current thoughts. This is pretty considerable. It's a good return. It's kind of what I'm thinking on Palladium as well. A return back to maybe a 50 to 78.6 fib of the crush. And then I think you could see a little bit of turnaround like that. Now, could it go up further? Absolutely. But this is the more likely kind of position that it goes to for oil. I'll let you know if I feel like oil's going higher, but you will need to find certain indicators that are pushing for interest rates going even more than they are currently. What about silver from Javed? Silver will just move in lockstep with gold. Double tweezer bottom, I guess, is kind of nice, but again, it will move with gold. The difference with silver is it'll move more aggressively. So if gold's on the move up, generally silver will do like a 2 exit because as a percentage, or a 3 exit. So yeah, a lot of people are looking at silver and gold right now. I'm not sure it's the right trades. A lot of people throwing a lot of different opportunities at me at the moment. So yep, one of them is tan. So solar looks fine. Nothing really wrong with it. It's double pick down here. Both times rallied. Obviously, we need to breach through this, and then it can have a nice little run on it. I can't think of too much problematic here. I mean, there was a lot of volume in this trade here, which I'm kind of surprised at. It has dropped off a bit, but overall, still looks okay on the charts. So I'm bullish Google for this week. Yeah, I would say if I'm picking tech, I would be bullish the Google on the breakout. Yep. Uranium ETFs have done quite well. We posted them in. Whichever uranium you're looking at looks okay on the charts. Obviously, a little bit of issues here with URA. There are other uranium miners. Anyone got any that they want me to put up? I'm not too sure. UEC's done pretty well. I think this is a sector that's going to do okay. I posted it in for a reason. Volume's really high as well. Like really high. Uncharacteristically high. Kind of happened over here where it went uncharacteristically high, chilled for a bit, and then went ballistic. Defense looks good. Defend. Assume that's like a 3x leverage defense. Yeah. Some people don't like trading this, but yeah, I put in a bunch of defense stocks. I would prefer to pick the stocks that I've got in the private community, go down to sector rotation, and you can have a look at the stocks that we have. It's up the top of that area. I think the ones that we had were Lockheed, Aldos, LHX, GD, BAE, RMH, though it's gone too far, and yeah, GD again. So if you have a look at some of these, one sec. We'll look at Lockheed first. Coming down off the hysteria, I guess, the first initial move, but still should be quite a strong. This is less of a trade, more of an investment concept. Because what you're waiting for here is governments to announce budgets, and those budgets to have basically war expenditure in them. LHX, L3 Harris, another one that's coming back down to the supports after that initial boom. I'm not lost on these. This one should be down a fair bit, I would hope. Don't think this is the right code for it. I know it is that company. There it is, BA Systems. Don't know why all these codes are so bad, but anyway, this is another one that's doing okay. It's broken out. So yeah, there's plenty of codes there. Michael H will yeah, that's correct. The problem with DFEN and why you can't take it, Michael, is because it has stupid Boeing in it. And Boeing is not the pick that you want for those types of things. Remember, when you pick sectors, sometimes you got to be a little bit careful. Check the top stocks in it. The problem with all of the defense codes is they're all filled with way too much of two stocks. Roger says, I've successfully traded CCJ, Kamiko or whatever. Yeah, these are good. There's nothing wrong with these. They're acting technically. And again, breach outs are imminent on some of these stocks as well. So you'll notice here, you've got that resistance. Few people are looking at this. Volume's up again, which is good. And a breach would be incredible. And you've got double bouncing in this area here. So quite good. Ray Lim says, how about Chinese tech? Can I scale in? Yeah, I mean, the CQQ, it's got that kind of government support, though we don't really know what that is. I mean, this market's really tough. And why I say that is it's not so much that I don't believe in the companies. You've got to think, I don't want to hold it for a long time. I'm kind of scared of investing in China over the next decade. And why I say that is because I'm not sure how it's going to look from the Western capital markets. I just think that they're kind of uninvestable for a lot of funds, and that's a bit of a problem. But yes, I mean, this is the right move, and it's still depressed in price. So you would theoretically, if you're buying it for a 4, 5, 6 month hold, then yeah, it should be okay. I mean, you've got to do your own due diligence on this type of stuff. So yeah, Dav, to answer the question about uranium stocks, they're all still pretty damn good. MZC, hey Tom, been looking at semis, TSM, INTC, AMD, NVIDIA, double bottom accumulation breaking out. Anything to look out for today, this week? NVIDIA would be like if we could somehow get back to a 245, you'd be pretty happy with yourself. Let's have a look at TSM. TSM is actually just based, so that's not too bad. Certainly more of the sick kind of semiconductor stock. And it always tends to be like it had that really big run on it, and then it's just been horrible for a long time. I mean, I'm not loving the recent price action on this as much as the others. I usually say like winners take all. So when recoveries occur, you're better off usually buying like an NVIDIA and then, something like this, just because they do tend to outperform this type of stock if the semis do go. The winner tends to continue winning. AMD, let's have a quick look at that one. So AMD's been in all sorts of roughness. It's still relatively low compared to where it was. Long leg doji, probably a breakout of either of these directions, more to the bull side, I guess you're looking, would be a strong move. Would also probably breach that downward trend that might even go through. Let's have a look if that goes through the highs. Well, it does. Very nice. Yeah, I quite like AMD. Not bad. Wasn't on my watch list, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay. Volumes remained relatively high through this base. It's found a few points. Long leg doji, breach. Could be a good trade this week. So certainly one I would consider. INTC, Intel. Yeah, look, Intel's got a few good announcements coming off on it. I'm not sure how it's been as a trade stock, though. It's given a few false signals last year. I'm not loving it. Certainly behind the others. Just doesn't float my boat. And it's not very interesting here. Sasha M says, need to go. Cheers, Tom, for the stream. Seems the gap is going to close before the New York Open. Yeah, so the futures market has basically taken off all the NASDAQ drop. And that seems to, the futures coming into the pre-market. you'd probably expect the market to maybe like have a rally and have some type of trap in it. If I was looking for it to show the signs of weakness, if it opened around the same price, what you'd be looking for is like shooting stars, those kind of like, strong break to the upside, then instant reversal, something like that. If you've done the mentoring, you'll know the type of thing that I'm talking about. In the first like hour of trade to hour and a half, you're looking for those signs. And if that does happen, it actually could be a pretty good short if you get false breaks or even false moves. So in summary, I guess some of the things that we're looking at this week, and I'm giving quite a few out. We've got from the metals, I guess palladium still an interesting one towards the bull side. From the tech stocks, we've got Google in a bit of a hold here from a technical analysis perspective. We've also got Nvidia kind of hovering around this resistance. If you're feeling this one, maybe if we could somehow get a pullback back to that zone, might make you a bit happier about grabbing it in. Not sure if we will, but that would certainly be a very strong kind of area for it. You notice it's broken its downward trend, which is great for the stock. That's good. Cybersecurity, some things like crowd and stuff are technically breaking out. Uranium's doing pretty good. Tech seems to be the main thing, and it's really just XLY, XLK, more the risk on. Once this trend tends to start, it usually can hold up for a bit. And remember, this isn't like the other rallies. And I think we need to reiterate that. I haven't been very bullish. In fact, I've said sell the rips almost every time. I think we've talked about selling rips consistently now for basically 2 months. The reason why we have to go slightly bullish is the bond guys are with us. And at the same time, we're seeing a lot of accumulation bases holding up. Like think about RK actually breaking through for the first time. This is the first signal that we've had through all of this hideousness that it's looking better than it was. You look at PLTR. I don't even like this stock, but look at this. It's an accumulation base. It's gone through the 20 moving average. All of these stocks have suddenly, that have been respecting 20 moving average on the way down, have suddenly gone through 20 moving average. Look at the base. It's the first time we've seen it. False, didn't get through, suddenly got through, didn't get through, suddenly got through. So the reiteration here is this is the first true pickups that we've had in all of these stocks. And I mean, some of these are brutally, brutally oversold. I mean, I don't know what this stock's worth, but it's down 64% just from the peak here in November. Somebody says, I don't understand what gap fill on futures market means. Look, it just basically means that there's no actual gap fill. Wrong terminology. So the market closed here. The futures market's gone, and then it's gone, no, wait a second. I'm going to open at the same point that we closed at. So they're saying gap fill, but it's not a gap because the real market never opened anywhere different. The futures market traded down today and then it's traded back up. So it's just it's just at the exact same area that it was. There aren't any gaps really in these markets at the moment. Even that got filled. That's a gap fill. Opens up, comes down, fills it, goes off. A gap, if we were going to fill it, would be it opens here, rallies, fills to the next area, and then falls. PayPal, yeah. I mean, geez, we haven't talked about that one for a while. Nasty PayPal. Let's have a look. Yeah. I mean, look at this. From $92. Yeah. I mean, again, didn't hold. Remember, the reason we haven't been able to go, look, we went long. I'm not going to say I didn't do a long over here on PayPal as a trade. I long PayPal here. All right. As a trade, entry, stop loss, take profit. Yeah. We got busted. Went up for like a couple of days and went down. It's a trade. You lose that trade. All right. Move on. There was one miniature little break here, which you could have scaled a little portion on. I think if I remember rightly, I was like, you know what, this thing's been untechnical twice now. So I was ranting about it. Then Kramer went ballistic about buying it. Obviously, that didn't work out. And then we were trying to figure out getting into it over here, but it just never breached through. This was a great looking position. And if it breached through, damn, we'd be buying that thing. It just didn't happen. It sucked. This is, in essence, a pretty decent base. Let's take a look at it on the weekly. Look at that. Look at that strength coming in here. Massively oversold company. Now, I don't know whether it's fundamentally fair value now or it's undervalue or whatever. Volume would dictate that there's been a bit of buying here. Quite a lot of transactions going on. Makes sense. It's not huge, but certainly bigger than it was. Earnings is a while away, so it'll be allowed to trade. And again, the position's kind of like that. You're looking for it to pull back a little bit. Ideally, this market would pull back. Sometimes they just keep going. And then what you've got to do is go and keep doing stock selection. So you've got to say, okay, what's underperforming at the moment that I still like? Maybe that's a Google. I have a feeling it's coming down. Let's see if the bonds have started trading the pre-market. Not for me. If the bonds open down today, like LQD opens down, the market's probably going to come down for the day. Kim says TMO, another base, lagging the other health stocks. Thermo Fisher Scientific. Great base, man. Fantastic base. I like it. Yeah, beautiful one. Nice volume there on Friday too. Some sneaky people buying it up. Yeah, it's the type of trade we like. Absolutely. Leisure says Powell at 10 EST. Think he might drop a thing on the market. No, he won't say anything. He'll just say all the same crap and the market will do what it feels like. Don't worry about Powell. Remember, Powell said nothing. People can look into it all they want. He raised rates 0.25. If he'd raised rates 0.5, the market would probably be, all right, well, we're going to go do the thing. He only raised at 0.25. He had weak hands with his raise. And really, the Wall Street guys just went, okay, cool, we're going to rally. They were going to probably rally anyway. He didn't say anything. He said, we can keep inflation under control. Yeah, right, pal. Does anyone here believe that? Chat, do you believe that he can keep inflation under control with his little 0.25 rate rise? Come on. Cattle. Let's have a look at CAT. What is this? Cattle. Battery makers, cattle, or QuantumScape. I assume this is not the code. QuantumScape. I remember them. QS, yeah. Yeah, it's a good base. And I hate this stock. Nah, I don't know anything about it. The reason I hate it is because it's not very old. So I just remember it over here and everyone was like, oh, yeah. And then it went. And of course, for me, this is just the biggest trap ever. It's like all these other IPOs. But I'll tell you one thing. You found a very nice little channel here. Very nice channel. And you could make an argument that it's worth scaling into from a TA perspective already, because you've basically broken through a series of lower highs. So that's a good candle there. And yeah, I mean, it does look pretty strong. So not huge volume, which I'd really rather have, but certainly strong. Big percentages on this stock. I mean, that's already done 27. Pretty big. Javed says, Fed is always lagging behind. Oh, yeah, they are useless. And Michael says he's just going to talk about his tools. And Dobell says, and I believe in unicorns in response to the JPOW action. Yeah, that's true. It's so bad. He's a crazy man. Tesla, 921. Pretty nice. Again, the 20 moving average was certainly a bit of a sign of a decent day trade, I guess, on the Friday. Looking towards this resistance around that 950, 945. I think for people like Dave and stuff that like trading it, that could be an area of interest on the old Tesla. I should get my Tesla next week, actually, I think. It's finally going to arrive. I'm glad I ordered it. The stupid thing went up in price. Is Tesla more expensive in America now? It's certainly gone up here in Australia. So, yeah, around that 945. That would be something I'm targeting this week. Not sure if I love the trade as much as some of the others. But look, there's plenty of opportunity. What I guess I'm trying to get through to you is I think this week is more about the buy. Even though it might go red for a day or two, it seems like this is legitimate. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it was. I've been consistently crapping on about selling the rip, but it just looks real. And realness may only be for a month or 2 months. I think we need to remember that. This realness is not going to necessarily be for that long a period of time. So we're not that bullish. We're just bullish because the indicators and the people are telling us. The people smarter than us are saying, you know what? I think this rally is okay. Double Bonnet says, howdy from Texas. What do you think of Block or Square? Yeah, we checked out Block and Square before. I like it with a bit of a pullback in it. Would be ideal if we can get it. I really would like these pullbacks. I just don't know whether the market can give it to us. So I'd like it around here. We're not asking much. I mean, you're just basically asking for a decline. Well, it's 10%. I guess I am asking for a little bit much, but I think you've got to think, well, this is one day of sell-off. Because even if you look at Shop, which is a stock that went bonkers on Friday, very popular, had a massive rally on it, went up 18.65%. Well, I mean, that was pretty strong. They had a great double bottom on it, by the way. Little double bottom there, and then just went ballistic. It's hit a resistance. So many of these stocks are at resistance. Google's at a little resistance. Nvidia's at a little resistance. The S&P 500 is kind of floating around a resistance. It just makes sense. A little bit of pullback is all we ask for, but I think you've got to switch to the bull side here. And if this is a rally that ends up going to a new low, like just this rally is all that it is, and then it goes to a new low, wow. Probably tricked me, actually. So if this one ends up making a new low, this week and goes underneath, be pretty surprised, because that's tricking the bond guys as well, not just us. That'd be very, very sneaky. It's basically doing a market of false breaks across the board. That'd be pretty impressive. I don't usually see that. And you can see from today's video that we've done so far, there's just so much. Okay, cool. We've broken a downward trend. We've broken a downward trend. We've broken a downward trend. We've got a double bottom. We've got this. We've got that. I mean, this is the first time we've seen it in this entire drop. So for it to rally through, if a false rally, that would be crazy. All right. Well, I think I'll leave it there. Some of the key ones, again, we looked at. Well, you can go back and rewatch this video. It'll be available to you. But there's just so much decent support. Even like stocks that are super hated at the moment, like DKNG. I'm not sure if I want to buy that here, but there's going to be opportunity on stocks moving forward. So if you feel like you're missing your favorite one, like an Amazon or anything like that, well, you know what? There are other opportunities for you. There's always another one out there. Just remember that. Don't be despo. Don't think, oh, I missed it. I remember only a month ago when Twilio went here and everyone was like, I'm buying. Well, how'd that work out? Didn't work out. So, it's still much lower than where it was even a month ago. I'm not sure if you like this stock, but these are some of them. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this kind of time, let me know. Do you guys enjoy or prefer these kind of pre-markets for the private community? I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go all the way into the open. It's pretty late for me, but I think it's a bit more real when we can get closer to the market and have a bit of an idea. So the game plan today, just to reiterate, S&P 500, ideally it would sell off. If we could hit this box zone, we would have smiley face. We'd be looking for pickups in this area here, obviously double bottoms, lightning bolts, that kind of thing from a technical level. There's a lot going on in these markets. Again, it makes sense because where are we? We're sitting at a daily 200 moving average. We hit that before a few times and respected it. Maybe this is a time we don't respect it. I would say we probably do after a rally like we've seen. That's a weekly 20 moving average. It's sitting on it. This is a big moving average. Last time we saw a double tweezer rejection. That was pretty brutal what could have happened there. And it did, sold directly off. Here, man, if it gets through that, damn. These guys are relentless. So I would like for it to do this. And even if it comes down here, I'm not going to be fearful about it coming down to a 4,300 either. I don't really want it underneath that level for buys, but these are the two big zones. Our crypto market, Michael would like. Igor says, so bonds pre-market may determine to raise today's direction. Yeah, they certainly could. If the bonds kind of go with a negative today coming in, it certainly could help you with organizing direction. BTC. Crypto. I don't know. What do I know about crypto at the moment? Not much. Why? Because I don't think the chart tells us much. It's kind of tough. I mean, if you're looking at it from a perspective of this daily candle, you would say, oh, it's looking bullish, but we know that's not going to close for another 12 hours. So that's not really going to help us. I just can't give you much here. I wish I could, but BTC gives me nothing at the moment. It's just chilling in its little range. And you're really mostly trading 1 hour, 2 hour, 5, 15-minute timeframes here and looking for little breakouts there. And I'm not sure how much statistical advantage you're getting either. That's the problem sometimes. You just, when it's in these kind of chops, you might do well and say, see, Tom, I told you, but I'm not seeing statistical advantage there. Ethereum is probably the stronger of the two at the moment. That's got that break of the downward lower peaks and it's kind of consolidating. So if I was going to pick one, I guess I'd pick Ethereum towards the long. And if the market destroys itself, then obviously this will come down a little bit, somewhere around here, and we'd expect it to turn around. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Good luck this week in the private community. Please share as much as you can. Obviously, you can tag me, and I'll try to get around to as many as I can as well. What I might do is I'm kind of playing with some ideas for the community. I want to start doing a write-up once a week, and then maybe even move them into more of a couple of day thing where I do a write-up, give some write-up opinions on the market so you can read over them with some key levels. And actually, there were some stocks that I was trialing from one of my scanner tools. So I'll see how they go today, and I'll see how they go over the next 2 weeks. And if they go pretty well, then I'll start sharing some of those as well. Just a little bit of a twist. You're always improving. Even I improve. And I'm just twisting a concept at the moment, which I think will work pretty well. I know it should, because it's based on something I already do, but I just wanted to see if I can apply it to scanning the entire market every day to get more opportunities. And if it works, then I'll bring it through. But I've got to do further testing. I don't like to bring things in that I don't like. If they don't work, I'm not interested in them. So yeah, remember I've been doing systematic stuff for 12 years, 14 years. So yeah, I have a fair idea of whether something should work. I think it'll be all right. It's based on finding volume in the market. So that's good. Cool. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you soon. And I appreciate your support as per usual, and appreciate you sharing everything, and appreciate everything that you guys do. And to the mods, to the major contributors, you guys really helped me out because it's been a bit of a tough week, I'll say, last week. Just not from the trade perspective, but just it was hard for me to to do a lot of the stuff, and you guys were there to cover some of the gaps. So I appreciate that. The conference went really well. Appreciate everyone there, and hopefully we can get over to the US later on this year because we'd love to come over there, have some really good discussions, have a great time, and I'd like to come visit the US. I mean, I need to get over there, yeah, get some good trade times. Catch everybody. Bye.